Hey, my name is Chris. I live in Las Vegas and I love guitar. I also love meditation. I also love a little bit of magic. And I wanted to discuss my experience in the magical community in Las Vegas. So, I'm a big fan of Witch Talk. I'm a big fan of YouTube. I'm a big fan of TikTok. And the funny thing is I get to see how the magical community does its thing out into the world around me. So, my only reference really is hanging out in the magical community in the Las Vegas area. And I've noticed that it's not just witches in the Las Vegas area. There's a whole bunch of different pagan groups or alternative groups that practice their own certain spicy metaphysical rituals. So what I have been enamored by ever since I took a psychology 101 and a sociology 101 years ago, human beings and why we do what we do, why we believe what we believe, and the practices that we do in our everyday lives in order to cope. So I started studying alternative religion in my 20s, and I started to go to Buddhist temples and do meditation and chanting. I've gone to ghost hunts with parapsychologists to document haunted places. I've hung out with UFO abductees and contactees and listened to their stories and shared my own stories with them. And I've hung out with witchcraft groups and other different pagan groups like druids. And I've learned so much from each and every one. And each and every one has their own flavor to them. So I am not a witch, even though I've been in a witchcraft coven. I've been in like half a dozen covens. And the funny thing is as many covens as I've been in, none of them have ever pressured me to become a witch. And I will tell you why. Because I've expressed to them the way I grew up, we were open to the idea of the supernatural, and we were taught supernatural powers as children. So let me rewind back and explain and show you and tell you the difference between my family and a witch family. So usually in a witchcraft family, you are taught about the supernatural as a child. You are taught that the supernatural is real and that your observance of it is real, and you can interact with it, and you can even manipulate your environment with your will, with practice. But that's how magic and witchcraft works in that tradition. Now, I did not grow up in that tradition. My family is not pagan. My mother's family is Catholic. She's super Catholic, but really, really super superstitious. And my dad, his family is Protestant. And again, they come from that Judeo-Christian background, the whole idea of good and evil, God and the devil, yada, yada, yada. But with the caveat, in my family, we were taught that everything supernatural was absolutely 100% real. Everything from psychic powers and psychic experience, from ghosts to aliens to Bigfoot. Like, I don't care if you could think supernatural, paranormal, we were told that was real, all right? And we were taught and trained as children in psychic powers. So as a child, I was taught how to tap into psychic phenomenon and psychic powers. And I still, let's just say I haven't forgot anything. Everything I was taught as a child, I still remember and I still know how to do. So that being said, I asked my pops as a little kid, like, are we witches? And he was very adamant to say, it's like, no, we are not witches. We can do witchcraft, we can do magic, but we are not witches, and our power, our source doesn't come from that. And I think in a subtle way, I disagree with my pops, but at the end of the day, or at least now, in present day, I understand exactly what he meant. As in, my pops would always tell me that what he could do doesn't come from nature, and it doesn't come from the goddess, and it is not feminine. It's something that is passed down in the family. Passed down in our family. So it's very ancestral. And again, we came from Judeo-Christian beliefs. We're not pagan. That being said, I have many friends who are witches. And the cool thing about witches that I really, really love, and the similarities, is that all witches are psychic. And there's a funny saying in the magical community is that All witches are psychic, but not all psychics are witches, okay? If you were in the magic community, you will totally get that. You will totally understand what that means. So I love to hang around with the magical community because they will totally accept psychic phenomenon as 100% real. As in, hey, last night I went to sleep and I had this dream and it came true today. They would totally be like, oh yeah, that's totally plausible, that totally happens. Or the phone was ringing and I knew who was on that phone calling me before I answered it. Totally, you could tell that to a witch and she'd be like, totally happens all the time. Or, hey, I think I was in a strange place and I sensed a ghost there. You could tell a witch that and she'd be like, yeah, happens all the time. Now you tell somebody who doesn't believe in any of that stuff, they will think you're crazy. Or, or I don't know, maybe they'll ask you out on a date. The funny thing is, nowadays, if you say you're psychic, if you say you're a witch, you might get invited to a party. You say you're psychic, you say you're a witch a couple 100 years in the past, they're gonna try to hang you, okay? Or like, to rat you out to the cops, right? So again, the differences I've seen in the magical community in Las Vegas are hilarious. So there are many different kinds of covens, and I've been in several, but I'm gonna break it down to 2 different kinds of covens that I've seen in the Las Vegas area. So you have those witches who hang out in book clubs, who hang out in bookstores and retail stores and nightclubs and in bars, okay? That is the type of coven that I've seen in Las Vegas, to where you're gonna go kick it at the nightclub, you're gonna dance all night, you're gonna drink, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna have hella fun, you're gonna do everything that you would have done at the club or at the bar, but with witches. It's honestly pretty dope. And there's another set of witches in Las Vegas that I've encountered that are the nature witches. Just as cool, just as awesome, just as fabulous. They hang out in parks or nature preserves, or they'll hang out at the mountains or on hiking trails, and you will hang out with them in nature, almost always outside, whether it's the summer and the crippling hot summer in Las Vegas or the freezing cold winters in Las Vegas. They will always meet outside. Those are the nature witches. Now, I've hung out with both of them. Both of them are so cool, and they both have their own flavors. But the coolest thing of all is I love the nature witches because I'm a big geek for nature, as most witches are. And the funny thing is, I am lucky because I live on the outskirts of the city of Las Vegas, and I was lucky enough to find a crystal quarry just behind my housing complex. I'm surrounded in a whole bunch of raw crystal that I found out in the desert. Any witch would be ridiculously happy to live where I live if they could go on a hike just a couple of blocks away from their house and pick a raw crystal. This is why I love the nature witches. Now, I would love to have the nature witches over for a party or a kiki, just so we could chill and do our own little meditation with crystals. But before I end the video, I would love to share some of my crystal collection. So you can see what I have on the table here. Again, this is a whole bunch of raw crystal that I found out in the desert. But dude, wait till you see what I got right beside me. So again, I love to go hiking and biking in the trails near my house. There's a crystal quarry just down the way. And as you can see, I've got quite the crystal collection. These planters, of course, they're 4 plants, but I decided to fill them with raw crystal that I found out in the desert. Each and every chunk of these is raw crystal that I found out in the hiking trails behind my house. Honestly, the crystals are huge. Hold on, it's falling apart on me. They're huge. I mean, it looks like a big chunky rock, but it's all bits of raw crystal all stuck together. And all of them are. All of this stuff. Bits of raw crystal all stuck together. And again, imagine just going down the street from your house and finding a whole bunch of raw crystals, dude. It's a hippie's dream. So hugs, health, and happiness from Las Vegas. I'm Chris, and I love music and magic.